If you make YouTube videos, or you're thinking of doing it, or even if you just film your life for yourself, stick around. This one's for you. Hey, what's up? It's Nicholas. Welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, hey, what's up? On this channel, we talk about life, love, art, music, and advice, and how to become a better person and enjoy life and find more meaning as we go about all of it. If any of that sounds good to you, stick around, leave a like, consider subscribing. Thanks for being here. You should make more videos, and if you already do, then you should do it more often, and you should make more of them. And if you haven't made them publicly available online, consider this as both a challenge and encouragement from me to you to go ahead and give it a shot. First off, I want to establish, I'm not telling you to make videos to make content. My point here is for you to make videos that mean something to you. There's enough content goblins out there running amok. We don't need to be another one of them. What I am here to talk about is something much deeper and hopefully more meaningful, not just to me, but to you as well. As pretentious as it sounds, videos can change your life. So this might make more sense if I give you a little more context. This video was inspired by me reviewing my latest cinematic video and YouTube autoplaying to another older video of mine. This is nothing new, and normally I would just click away or search something else because I've already also reviewed that video a dozen different times. I don't need to see it again to see what I did right or what I did wrong, or at least that's what I normally think. But this time, for some reason, I guess the way that I worded things, or the way that I delivered those words, just hit me in a way that made me stick around to listen to the words of my past self. And it sounds kind of egotistical, I understand this. Oh, what a shocker, Nicholas likes the sound of his own voice, but seriously, something about it sounded like I knew that it was a version of me from the past that was talking back to me, but at the same time, it sounded like a different person talking to me, and it felt like I needed to listen to what he had to say. And that's when it clicked, you know? I realized just how much it helps to make these videos, to record my thoughts, to have me say the words that I will say at that given point in my life, because it helps me preserve those thoughts and ideas at a time when they're fresh in my mind. That stage in my life, that version of me, I realized then how much it actually means to me that I'm able to preserve these thoughts, these feelings, when I'm the most passionate, when they're the most potent, because they're not words that I'm thinking of recalling, they're not ideas that I'm thinking of remembering, they're not moments that I'm trying to relive, they're not something I'm trying to review in retrospect, they are my present. I am living it as I am speaking it. And so my point to this isn't just to praise my thoughts or ideas of the way that I word them. No, my point here is to tell you, to demonstrate to you my first-hand experience of how much videos can mean. Because they preserve you, your essence, your life, that specific stage in your life. And if you decide to show other people in your videos, then it also preserves them. It preserves a specific point in time that quite literally we will never get back again. Unless we discover time travel tomorrow, whenever you're watching this. We can't literally go back to who we were, even just 5 seconds ago. The closest thing that we've got to time travel, at least to me, is video. So like I said, this goes past content. My videos, for example, are not just aesthetic cinematics or advice videos or tutorials for somebody else. That is part of the thing that goes into consideration and the thing that I care about when I make these, but at the core of it, I realized that these videos are essentially video journals, but that at the same time, there's so much more than that. Another way to look at it is kind of like that bit in Harry Potter where you can view those crystal balls with all the prophecies and you have a bunch of them that you can just pick through. Or like how they use the pensieve and they dip their head in water and they get to review somebody's memories as if they were happening all over again. The idea of talking to a specific preserved version of a person through a painting. Or like in the Horizon games, if you're familiar with Zero Dawn or Forbidden West, you get to collect a bunch of audio logs where you get to listen to how people used to live, how they talked, and you get to see holograms of the things that they were working on, and that's all that you have aside from ruins to give you a clue of what the past used to be like. I think in the same way, we have our version of our memories in our heads, but over time, those memories can get foggy. But for as long as you can keep and preserve the data of the images that you get to capture, the videos that you get to capture, you have a more accurate, objective, and literally vivid representation of your memories that you just get to keep. That preserves that certain moment in time where you looked a certain way, you talked and moved a specific way, you were friends with these certain people that, hey, maybe you don't want to remember anymore right now, but maybe 30 years down the line, it doesn't hurt as bad. And it's just nice that you have that preserved anyway. You have memories of loved ones that will inevitably not stick around forever or not be the same way as they once were. All of these things might have a sort of melancholic kind of weight when you think about it, but I think that the beauty of being able to capture it in video is beautiful. I don't view it as a sad, melancholic thing. It's a thing where you get to celebrate the fact that we even have the privilege to preserve all of these things at our fingertips. Back then, people didn't even have video. Back then, people didn't even have photography. People had to pay top dollar for paintings and for artisans to preserve their likeness. Photography came about, and it was the same thing. It was expensive, it was inconvenient, and then video was the same way, and now we have all of that here. Let's take advantage of the fact that we have the opportunity and the luxury to do this with such ease. And that leads to the next point that I want to make. As much as this can be meaningful, I don't want that to be reasons for you to feel pressure when it comes to doing this. Have fun with it. Don't be like me, where you get too much in your head too many times. Like, this is something that I'm saying to preserve, for me to listen to, as much as it is for me to hopefully impart upon you. Don't let your perfectionism get the best of you. Don't get in your own way. Just be authentic and be comfortable in doing that. Be real. And being real doesn't, or at least it shouldn't, take so much effort. It shouldn't be something that you need to combat. If it's real, right? Enjoy that. Have fun with that. And because you're having fun, hopefully, you get to preserve the real essence of you and your life. It's inevitable nowadays for us to think we're using a camera, this should be for content, so we might as well take some time to talk about it. The idea of blowing up or making it. I see two scenarios. Scenario one is, if this is your goal, maybe this is the way. Take it less seriously, be casual with it, be real, be authentic, and have fun with it. Just take it easy. And because you're taking it easy and you're having fun with it, you will probably end up doing it more often. And when you do it more often, you're more consistent, you have a higher likelihood of actually gaining visibility and making it eventually. And full disclosure, I'm one of those people. I do want this to be a thing that I get to do indefinitely for the rest of my life. Now, scenario two, you don't care much for blowing up. You don't care much for becoming a social media person. In which case, it might happen anyway, for the same reasons. Because you're enjoying it, you're taking it lightly, you're not being too serious about it, but you're doing it regularly because it's actually a fun thing for you to do. In which case, people will connect with that, people will see that across the screen. We all know when we can detect somebody's vibe if they're being for real, and if they're connecting with you in a certain way, that comes through to the screen. That's not just an in-person thing. If people connect with you because you're being real, because you're having fun, and you're doing it more often, you're probably going to succeed at it anyway, and with less mental effort at that. So either way, either scenario, whether or not you want to make it, there's a good chance that you might. But that all hinges on you doing it more often, and you doing it more often hinges on you caring because it means something to you, and it being easy and accessible enough for you to do, also for you wanting to do it because it's a fun thing to do. We have our own different ways of processing our thoughts and of remembering those thoughts. Some of us like to write our thoughts down on a physical journal with a pen and paper. Some people like to type it down on a document, and some like to record their voice memos, or not. Some people don't like to think, some people don't like to remember what they think. More power to them. But for us, that care about such things. We have our own different methods of doing them. I do all of these things, but above that, video has a unique effect of its own, separate from all these other ways of journaling. When we think, when we reflect, that's one layer. But then when we write, those thoughts, those feelings, they get processed in a different way. You are thinking of specific words on how to write it down. You're thinking of your format, you're thinking of your sentence structure, you're thinking of all these things because most of us have been institutionalized to think about it this way. When we learn our individual languages, our individual ways of writing down those languages, we were taught all these rules, all these things to pay attention to. We were graded on them. The way that you think in here versus the way that you speak out those thoughts is also different from the way that you write them down. And even then, it's different when you write, it's different when you type. And the same goes for when you actually make a video. Even if it's just for yourself, even if you're just recording it on your phone, on your desk, or in bed, that's a completely different category, even apart from audio logs or voice memos. Because with voice memos, you do have the audio experience, but the visual experience is not there. And you might disregard how much that matters, but when you see the visual component, that changes your experience entirely. I mean, it changed American voters entirely back in the past when they could either just listen through the radio or actually see the television broadcast of their candidates. There is evidence to how much your experience is affected. So when it comes to preserving your essence or remembering your life or logging a certain point in your life where you're feeling a certain way or thinking a certain way, you might be able to lie to yourself by using your voice, but when you see yourself and you match your voice with your gestures, with your facial expressions, all of a sudden there's this layer that wasn't there before, that now you get to experience in full. Oh, that's what I sounded like. Those were the words that I chose. But I can also compare that with how my eyes express, with how my face expresses, the ways that I can observe my skin crunching, the gestures and the movements that I make. That might not be the same way that you express anymore the next time you view it, maybe a couple months or years down the line. You might not even agree with your beliefs or the way that you express them. All of these things, all of these nuances you get to save, and the closest thing that we have to saving all of it all together is, again, video. It's this time capsule version of you, of your thoughts and your feelings, all preserved in a bottle. It's like you're having a conversation with yourself through time. And anybody who's written a script or written a speech and tried to deliver it will know how different it is when you just write it down on paper and you think it sounds good, and then you actually try to say it out loud, and maybe your script dialogue doesn't sound as organic as you thought that it would. You try to deliver the speech and you realize, oh wait, how I write is not at all how I talk. So all of these different layers culminating in making a video is one of the final touches that you can make to flesh out your personal thoughts and feelings and log them in a way that preserves them really well. After you make the video, after you preserve those thoughts, you have the power of hindsight to look back at any point and use that as a point of reference. Use it as a guide. There may be lessons from the past that you've already learnt but have forgotten since. Or you might want to get back in touch with bits and pieces of you that may have chipped away or faded away over time. You still have access to them. So when you look at it as a whole timeline, your thoughts get fleshed out and then they get preserved for you to have the power of hindsight, for you to flesh them out even more. You have a vivid visual component for you to use as reference to see what life used to be like. You preserve moments in motion. You see things moving. You hear things as they happen. I've said it before and I'll say it again, this is the closest thing that I believe we have to time travel right now. Because how else do we get to see and hear the things that we once heard and saw one more time, and then another time, and another time after that? Make the videos that mean something to you, and do it more often. That's a message from me to you, and from me to future me.